This is Mouth Media Network, the business of being heard.
In 500 years, an archaeologist named Michael Feinblum will make a discovery of two relics, a discarded cheeseburger wrapper and a disc with the full collection of Funny People Talking shows. Guess which one was traded for gum on the way to the meeting at the Museum of Fast Food? Oh, by the way, in the future, gum grows on trees. This is Funny People Talking.
Hi, I'm Colin McIntosh, founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles, and I would rather discuss Tucker Carlson tonight with my grandmother than be on Funny People Talking.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Funny People Talking. I'm one of your hosts, Mark Rako, and with me, in front of me, on the screen, Dresden Engel. Dresden, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. So full disclosure, Dresden sounds a little bit different than usual because we've been encountering significant technical issues, which we're just not sure what's going on. But we decided we have this incredible guest with us. The last thing we're going to do is keep him waiting. We're just going to go through. And so Dresden and I are fighting with both a microphone and an actual delay between when I say something and I see her hear it.
I'm so sorry. I dropped my computer.
Oh, is that what happened? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And also joining me is Harvey now in the shot, by
Hi,
the way.
Harvey.
So
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
There you go. Okay, we will come back in one moment to who that voice is. But first, Elsie, our producer, is here with us as well. Hi, Elsie.
Hey.
How you doing?
All right.
All righty. So also with us, the guest whose voice you heard, that is Mr. Colin McIntosh. He is the founder of a really awesome company called Sheets and Giggles. And as you can hear from the pun-based name, this very, very fast-growing company that's been getting a lot of attention has a huge humorous undernote. I don't know if that's a word. There's a note of humor in everything they do, in their marketing, their web presence. Colin himself has done a lot of stand-up, continues to do stand-up when he has time. Also, his dog that he referred to, named Harvey, is the chief marketing officer of the company. That is a true statement.
I love it.
So anyway, can't wait to hear all about Sheets and Giggles and the incredible stuff you're doing. And by the way, a lot of what Sheets and Giggles does is not just sell sheets and bedding. They do a lot to help the environment and a lot of philanthropic work. It is truly a company that has cause at its core.
Thank you.
So that's a great company, and I'm just delighted to have you on the show, Colin. Thank you.
That's a very kind introduction. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So show's over, everybody. That's it. Thanks for joining us. Also up ahead, we have a wonderful Dresden moment. We're going to do our salute to Tina Fey as usual. And Elsie, a brand new segment with Elsie called What Would Elsie Do? I will explain. I think it'll be fun. And also, of course, our improv game. And we'll learn all about Colin and Sheets and Giggles. But first, real quick, for Dresden, I just want to ask you, Dresden, to pick a number from 1 to 10.
6.
Nope, it was 7. So moving on. I don't even know what that. Elsie, tell me to start the show.
Let's start the show.
From the Mouth Media Network studios in New York City, this is Funny People Talking with Mark Rako, Dresden Engel, and Elsie.
All right, everybody, we're here with Funny People Talking and our incredible guest. I already know he's incredible, and he hasn't even done anything on the show yet, so you can trust me on that. We plan to deliver. Colin McIntosh is here from Sheets and Giggles.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, boss. And Harvey, too. We're happy to have Harvey, too.
Yeah.
Before we get started with the rest of the show, a quick bit of very important housekeeping. I want to put to bed. Did you see that? I talked about a bed because it's bed sheets. So it's our salute.
That was
Tina
one time
Fey.
where the word sheets was not followed by the word giggles. But
Yeah.
Oh, I swear to you, Colin. I swear the show gets better than
No,
this.
it's a rolling start.
By the way, I want to comment. I did this before we started the show, but I feel I need to share this with Elsie and Dresden too. If you look at Colin, he literally, to me, looks like an absolute picture perfect G.I. Joe. Like that, you know, the beard that G.I. Joes have, right?
God.
Doesn't he look exactly
but we
like
need to
an awesome
package
G.I.
him
Joe?
as Cougar Fantasy G.I. Joe. Like,
That's
we don't want to
right.
waste our time with 7-year-old boys. Cougar Fantasy.
No, we
G.I.
definitely
Joe.
don't.
Do you
That
think
would
he
be
hears me
Yeah.
saying this?
I do,
Oh,
and it's
sorry.
I'm the main model for Sheets and Giggles, and it's great because 70% of our customers are women, and you know we're probably the bedding company with the most men in our advertisements, and it's just something I figured out where women like to see men with beards in bed with other dudes with beards. So like our most famous ad is actually me and 2 other bearded guys with avocado face masks on, drinking red wine, talking to each other under the covers, and women, I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it, they love that ad. And then a lot of men love that ad too, actually. And so it's
Wow.
definitely, yeah.
I just bought
appreciate
I
that.
just bought bed sheets in my mind right now.
I did
just
a
from
lot
hearing
in
about
my
that.
Don't
I
say
did a lot more in my mind.
You just, jump in the bed with us and all sorts of stuff. It's fun marketing. That's for sure.
My guess is in Elsie's mind, she said, avocados, ooh, guacamole.
We
I actually was thinking avocado toast, but yeah.
Okay, there you go. I know Elsie. I know her.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Breakfast in
thank
bed.
All right, so anyway, quick salute to Tina Fey. Just to let you know, Colin, every episode we pray to the comedy gods that Tina Fey some way, somehow, someday will join us on this show, even a drive-by, a telegram. We don't care what it is. We would just love to have her connect. I've had about 5 different close calls with her, possibly working. It just feels destiny. And we figure if we pray to the comedy gods and get the word out there, you never know what will happen. Someday someone will make it happen. So we're going to pray right now. You can watch, listen, or you can join in. It's up to you. But I'll lead it off. Oh, Tina Fey, we do love
Tina.
thee. Please join us on the show.
Tina,
We
you
love
can
you
be on the
so
show.
much. This is your chance. This is your chance.
Send a
We'll
signed
even-
headshot or something.
We'll find a way to introduce you to Harvey because we
Been
know
asking you for
Colin.
like 3
We
years
know.
now, so
We love you.
We love you
Please,
more
thanks.
than men in beards and sheets.
Amen. I like to point out, Colin is literally burying his head in
He
his
is-
hands with
he is
shame or embarrassment
No,
to be
it's-
witnessing
I
such
mean,
a thing.
I hope that she sees this one day. I feel like and I'm wondering what I would do if I ever saw somebody do, like a tribute to Colin type of thing like that. I would feel like I'd have to be compelled to go on their show. I would have to.
Oh, Colin, thank you for being
I'm
on
already
the
here.
show.
Thank you
Okay,
for
gotcha.
being
Okay,
a
sorry.
You
G.I.
already got
Joe.
Fair enough.
It rhymed.
Yeah,
I just wanted to. Oh,
Yeah,
nice
thanks,
job,
thanks,
guys.
thanks, yeah.
No, Colin, point taken, my
I
friend.
love,
Thank you very
I
much for
love
that.
Tina Fey. I think that she is one of the most gifted. I mean, and this is not like a controversial opinion. She was one of those gifted, comedic writers and actors of all time. I think
Yeah.
I was
Nice.
8. I think I was like 18 when she would do her Sarah Palin. So I'm 30. So I was 18 when she was doing the Sarah Palin bit. And then, obviously with 30 Rock and, SNL, and she's just been such a comedy icon my whole life. So
Yeah.
Cool.
she and Amy Poehler both are big influences on my comedy.
That
Amy
is
Poehler
awesome.
especially yeah.
Wow, that explains the avocado masks and the. All right, no, that's awesome, man. That's great. Well, thank you for appreciating it. Let's move on now to one of our favorite kinds of moments on the show. It's a Dresden moment. So Dresden, being a publicist, and she has her own publicist firm, Dresden PR. Dresden has had an interaction with many a celebrity over time, and it's many stories. They're all wonderful.
And now it's time for Dresden Moments.
And I'm just sort of curious what your Dresden moment today
Well,
might
I'm
be.
going to check with you from a tech standpoint, since my microphone and I aren't getting along tonight. Can you hear me okay? Because I was going to do a little bit of a longer one.
Yeah, perfect.
G.I. Joe gave me thumbs up. Sorry, Colin. I'm reducing you. Like,
No,
I am not valuing you
I-
as a human, and I apologize.
The good thing about men is that we can get objectified and still get paid even on the dollar. So don't even worry about it. I'm totally fine.
You're
just being
awesome.
objectified
You're
as much as you
fantastic.
need.
All right.
It's a big benefit.
All right, I love it. So this is something that I did in 2019. That was one of my PR shining moments of my career. And it is a celebrity moment that involves a beach boy by the name of Al Jardine. It was actually Al Jardine who suggested to his high school friend, Brian Wilson, hey, you and I are playing a band. Why don't we invite your brothers and cousin to join too? So fast forward to where I am. I'm in Rochester, New York, and we have a Rochester Music Hall of Fame for which I do public relations. And there's been some people saying, why do you give the awards to some people who maybe only like were born here or were only here to get their master's degree at Eastman School of Music, etc.? But Al Jardine lived here for several years of his childhood, and this is where he learned to love music. So I did something to kind of shut up naysayers. I found his childhood home and I took him with a TV crew. We did carpool karaoke with the local CBS affiliate, all the way with his son singing the harmonies, all the way to his childhood home. We went to his childhood home. He shared all his memories. He was the lead on Help Me Rhonda. We sang Help Me Rhonda in his former living room. He wanted to go upstairs and be in his brother's room because his brother never let him be in the room. Anyway, the point is, not only did I get to do cool things and sing harmony with Al Jardine, one of the original Beach Boys, but it was like a really cool way. And he played along for me to be able to say to the naysayers, see, Rochester was instrumental in his life and scene.
Yay, Dresden.
And the instrumental pun at the end there. That was, you stuck the
that.
landing.
I
That
caught
was
that.
great.
I did.
I
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that
it was
great.
an amazing
was-
experience.
That's awesome, Dresden.
And it snowed. It snowed on his way here through O'Hare, because obviously, being a beach boy, he lives in California.
That's a sign.
Yeah. And the only time he ever lived on the water was in Rochester. Isn't that funny? Anyway,
That's
so
odd.
not to beat the story any longer, but was he had gotten snowed in and he got stuck in O'Hare for 24 hours. So when he got here, he goes, Dresden, I really don't know if I can do it. So I went and worked his son to be like, come on, you know you want to go, and kind of made sure we still did it. Anyway,
Good
it was an
job.
amazing,
That's awesome.
amazing story. And a TV crew was there, so the whole thing's documented.
That's awesome. The Dresden influence. That's the charm. The charm
You know,
work.
I've never met anybody named Dresden before. It's a heck of a name.
I had a 60s mom. I'm actually named for the China dolls. But
Okay.
my sister's name is Varinia from the movie Spartacus. So she pulled the short straw.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would seem that way.
And she has no personality to pull it off. But, here nor there. I'm not. There's no sibling rivalry there. No.
I just can't imagine having the rest of my life saying I'm Spartacus.
Oh, and guess what I was going to be if I was a boy?
Spartacus?
Yes. But could you imagine, like,
Oh
if I
my
was a
God.
football star and the whole high school going, run, Spartacus,
Well,
run!
the thing about if your name is Spartacus and you're in school and your teacher's doing roll call,
Yeah.
and your teacher's like, Spartacus, is Spartacus here? Who's Spartacus? Who's Spartacus?
I know.
Do your
I'm
classmates have to stand up one at a time and say, I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. All the
Oh
way down
God,
the line.
please.
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 That's hilarious. I love that.
Oh my God.
That's such a good bit. Like, if you named your kid
It
that,
is.
and it's like,
Hey, how about when we come out with the Cougar
Yeah.
Fantasy G.I. Joe line? We have
Yeah.
a Spartacus line.
yeah, Spartacus line.
like
yeah,
season
yeah.
2 for the
Yeah,
Christmas.
Yeah, I know some manufacturing folks.
Fan freaking tastic. The things
Wow.
that happen here.
Just doing deals left and right here, right on a podcast. I love it. Power podcasting. All right, moving on. Let's go to a brand new. Thank you, Tristan. That was really awesome.
Thanks for indulging. And he was, can I just say, he was the most amazing, most gracious, amazing man in the world. And if you ever just want to cry, Matthew Jardine, his son, has the chops that you wouldn't believe because the Wilson brothers taught him how to sing the high notes. So anyway, more Kroger fantasies for everyone.
I don't know. The world needs more Kroger fantasies. I mean, maybe.
Oh, they do. It's called the the Hallmark Christmas shows.
You know, now these. I mean, maybe that's what we're selling. I don't know. It's not about.
Dude.
When I look at when I think about the imagery on the sheetsgiggles.com, I can see in my mind's eye, like maybe we are selling some fantasy. It's great because everybody says. Well, everybody says sex sells, but every bedding company always has the perfect 25-year-old, usually white girl model in New York with the exposed brick wall and the fern on the side of the bed, the French press coffee on the edge of the coffee table, and we just do things a little differently.
But
I know. Well, look, because everybody knows French press sells.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have competitors who post pictures of the breakfast in bed, and then there's a French press coffee on the edge of the comforter, and it's a white comforter, and I have a panic attack when I see just French press coffee just on this very precarious ledge of this bed, and
it's
I've
your
never seen anybody's bedroom
it's your
look
new
like that.
line,
Yeah.
Sheets and Screams.
Yeah, if you're gonna spill something on your bed, then it's gonna be red wine in my book. So we get a lot of comments because we do have a good cab in our photos. We always have a nice dark red, and a lot of people are like, red wine with white sheets, and we're just they wash very easily. It's a good engagement with our customers.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time for a brand new segment that we get to enjoy everything that Elsie has to offer. It's called What Would Elsie Do?
She loves bacon, she's cantankerous, and her cat said I just bent. She's the producer, it's Elsie.
And the way that this goes is I have found over time that Elsie, as a producer, is a really great problem solver. Like many producers, she's often a source of great advice in her own way. She means well. And much like an advice columnist, there's an opportunity to just sort of take this resource and pull from it to help solve the things in our lives. So what we will do is we've been invited. I talked about Elsie, this with Elsie, and she's agreed to participate and try this out. Each of us probably have a number of things in our lives, the problems that we encounter, everyday problems, if you will, that it would be great to get a perspective on, whether it be etiquette, whether it be, people cut in front of us in line, whatever it is. And Elsie has agreed to be a resource of answers to our everyday problems. So I can kind of demonstrate how this might go and then sort of invite the other participants here to jump in if they have a question that maybe Elsie can field and see what would Elsie do. All right, so it's time for What Would Elsie Do? So Elsie, you game?
Yeah.
All right. So I actually want to start out with one here, Elsie. I have had a real problem on social media where I'll put a little opinion out there, like how I feel about something. I'm not talking about a big political statement, but just something like, I don't know, like, geez, I wish this would happen, or this is how I feel today, or the other day it happened, I had a problem with a doctor and I just complained on social media about it. And everyone, the people end up popping on and figuring out a way that they can steer that into politics, particularly in this case, supporting the far right and the Trump agenda. And I'm not trying, Colin, I don't know where you sit, so I'm not trying to make a political statement there.
I'm a millennial who started a sustainability focused company that
Got it.
That plants
Got
a
it.
tree for every order. I mean, it's a hard thing to figure out where I lean, to be completely honest.
Okay, got it. Gotcha. So, but any event, what I don't I don't want to turn it into that sort of thing. So I'm interested in any advice that you might be able to offer.
Well, I grew up with the whole thing of anything that you put in writing could think about it. Do you want to see it on the front of a newspaper?
Yep.
So like passing notes in class is your first encounter when you're a kid, and then gossip, or now we have social media. So if you don't want to invite people to say something, turn off your comments, I mean, you can delete a comment too, but also that kind of stirs up the fire for the person that you comment, because then they accuse you of filtering stuff.
You can also hide comments.
Yeah, you can hide them. But I mean, if you're talking about a doctor's visit and they turn it into a political, I don't know how that. I mean, unless you're talking about like a proctologist, of course they're going to turn it into politics. So that's obvious.
That was a good bit. That's good.
So,
I can't.
that's going to happen.
I can't hear proctologist without thinking about that Seinfeld episode, Ass Man, on the license plate on the car.
Oh my God! Right?
Yeah. Dr. Cosmo Kramer, proctology. Yeah.
I love that. That's right.
Yeah, Mark.
Right.
So Mark, you'll just say something. You're finding that people are just turning everything into politics. Like, I feel like that's like the joke where when it was Obama, like you get a flat tire and you'd be like, oh, thanks, Obama. And then I feel like the Trump version of that for me the last 4 years has been like, see, this is why Trump won. And like I've done that like a lot, like where like my friend will like pour like their milk in their bowl before their cereal, and I'll be like, okay, look, this is why Trump won, like exactly like this.
Do you use? Wait a minute, Colin.
Total degradation of society.
Colin, do you use that in your stand-up?
I actually steer pretty clear politics in my stand-up as of right now, because I just started doing it. And there's a lot of funny in the politics, and I'm in Denver, so I'm in a pretty safe like lefty bubble where it's like, I can say whatever I want and people are just gonna nod along. So I'm trying to figure out. I actually like making fun of. Leftists and liberals are more easy to make fun of, to be completely honest. It's harder to make fun of conservatives because like. How can I put this without because they get pissed off more easily. You can literally hear in my voice where I'm like, it's hard to make fun of conservatives because why? Ooh, don't say the wrong thing here. Because they're fucking angry all the time. Like, and I say that from experience with my own friends and family, and like I'm not trying to be a jackass or anything. It's just like I feel like my lefty friends are like a little more. They take things like with a little more like jovialness, I guess. Like, and so I enjoy like poking fun at like my positions more than other people's positions, and I think that's actually something I can talk about with more sarcasm, with more authority, is making fun of my own positions.
Right, but if you set it up in your comedy just the way you did with like the flat tire and the Obama and the cereal and the milk, and this is why, and you did like 3 funnies and then got out of it. Yeah. It's more how you have fun with a silly line versus political.
Well, there's a great comedian. It's an Italian guy named Chris, and he cracks me up because he's got this really good bit about how he got expelled from school on 9/11, and it's like a really funny thing. And he like does an expert job of weaving in the tragedy and the politics like here and there. And he's like, like my dad's like, I voted for Trump, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you didn't. You're a felon. Like you can't vote. Like like that sort of thing where it's like he's talking about he doesn't go into the easy route of just like picking on Trump, which is like very easy. He goes into like the subverting where it's like you don't think he's gonna say his dad's a felon. That actually John Mulaney's bit about the horse in a hospital is the best critique I've seen on the Trump administration.
We got 9/11 guy. We got John.
9/11. Chris DiStefano.
I mean, I listen to stand up all the time, but I didn't know this one.
Have you not seen the John Mulaney horse in a hospital bit?
No,
I'm not familiar with that. Actually,
it's my favorite bit on the Trump administration the entire time he's been in office.
Oh my gosh!
Because one is it's just a perfect analogy, and two is that it's 4 minutes of like pretty wholesome political commentary, and he kicks it off where he's like, right now it's like we have a horse in a hospital. And it's like, and none of us know what he's going to do, least of all the horse. He's never been in a hospital. And sometimes you're just waiting to hear what the horse did next. And sometimes it's not always bad. Sometimes it's just odd.
You have the Mulaney cadence down. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
The horse used the elevator. I didn't know he could do that. Like, so he's got a lot of, and the punchline's great, and it's like a great 4-minute bit. So I really recommend that for anyone out there listening. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I love comedians that are able to, through that kind of simplistic analogy, I don't mean to say simplistic, but that easy to understand analogy, is they make us understand complex things. Like one thing that comes to mind is Louis C.K.'s bit about being on an airplane and the guy using Wi-Fi in an airplane, and how the magic of being on an aircraft and how we take it for granted.
And it's like on the internet, like, what? Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's like,
hey,
he's like,
the Wi-Fi's
guy's
not working on this metal tube that's like throwing.
It's flying through the air at 600 miles. We're strapped to lawn chairs. And the guy's like impatient. He's like, they just installed it. It's going to space.
Yeah.
Give it a second.
Dude, it's so true. I love comedy like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So does anyone else have a question that they need advice on from Elsie?
Oof, so many.
So like everybody, my phone, there's only a certain amount of gigabytes. How do you decide which photos and videos to delete and which photos and videos to keep when you're cleaning out your phone?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's multiples of the same thing, I just pick the best one or two. So that's an easy way. And then if there are things that, sometimes in the moment you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you look at it later and you're like, why did I do that? Why do I save that?
That's true.
Sometimes I take pictures of receipts because I need them later. But if it's all turned out cool and I didn't have to return something or submit it, I delete it. So you'll be surprised seeing how much garbage is in there that you're like, why do I still have this? So that's a great way to get rid. And then also, it's not just the photos, but go through all your old text messages too. Get rid of those.
Clear that cache. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Text messages that are garbage. And like now stores are signing you up for everything. Hey, sale. Here's a text message. Used to be that, they'd call you, then it went to email. Now it's texting. So.
I don't know what's next. I mean, it's just going to be a direct implant right into your...
Holograms.
Yeah.
They're holograms.
I know. Which hologram should I keep?
You're going to be in bed and sleeping, and then the hologram's going to show up at the end of your bed.
Sign up for our Kroger brand dreams.
I know. I was just participating in a virtual panel yesterday. I was watching people talk, and one of the guys who's like a really high-end expert in the music industry was talking about how we're very close to having on-demand holograms of singers being able to, so you could call up for grandma and have Elvis Presley singing on the dining room table as a hologram in a very realistic way. We're not that far from that.
Well, it's on stage. Like, it's happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on stage already. But
it's extremely expensive. But yeah, you're right. They'll figure out a way to make it.
Well, that'll get shrunk down into an Echo or like a next Google Home. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
there'll be
your eye hollow.
Oh, for sure, and we'll all buy it, and it'll be awesome and terrifying at the same time. You'll say the wrong thing, and all of a sudden, Elvis will pop up in your living room, scare the hell out of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look,
but also the other thing that you may not notice, and I know Mark, you do this. I see when you have your phone, you take pictures accidentally because you picked up the phone holding it weird. Yeah, so you'll have lots of photos of nothing, literally, like the ground or the inside of your pocket.
I'm glad it's nothing because I was worried you were going to say he wasn't wearing underwear, but
stuff like that.
My ex-wife. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta go out and clear out the sexting photos every now and then. But
do you?
Yeah,
every now and then.
Yeah,
which is really both in the photo area and the texting area.
I grew up with cell phones when I got my first cell phone when I was 14. And 14 to 18-year-olds do a lot of dumb shit with everything in their life, including cell phones. And so I think that by the time I was 18, I had already disqualified myself from any future public service. and it's funny. I think at some point in the 2010s, I was like, because I mean, you have girlfriends and everybody sends pictures of themselves to girlfriend. I think it's pretty common at this point. Anyway, I think that at the 2010s, I was like, this is great. I was like, Trump won the presidency, saying awful things and being awful and being, out 3 ex-wives and paying off porn stars with hush money and these other politicians, like a lot of skeletons in the closet. And I think the internet culture has become more, okay with people like not being perfect individuals. Maybe I will run for office one day. Maybe I will do something that'll be interesting and fun and I can help change the world, do something positive. And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won, and they smeared her for like a week on Fox News for dancing on the rooftop of her high school as an 18-year-old and like some choreography thing. Look at how much fun she was having as an 18-year-old. And I was like, oh, I guess it just depends on who the person is. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not safe. I don't know. Maybe I am. But I can't stand the double standard. But yeah, so
by the time you run for office, Colin, the change in our culture about what's acceptable and what's not will be so much more forgiving.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. So, and then I saw her name trending. I said, oh, what's the controversy? Oh, she was dancing, and that was like the controversy. Like, so
right.
Someday it's going to be like you threw a cow out of a plane.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like today it's not so cool, and like 30 years from now, people are going to be like, that's nothing.
At some point people will be like, is that you shirtless in this photo? I'm going to be like, yes,
yes, it is. And don't I look like G.I. Joe?
Exactly. And I'm just going to
have you seen my Cougar Dreams in Spartacus line?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Yeah, my future product.
So I have a quick question for Elsie because Colin mentioned being 14. I happen to be what only older people know what this means, the Kool-Aid house. I'm the house the kids come to. So I have packs of 14-year-olds at my house, including boys, which means they eat a lot. And yet I feed them every night, $35 sheet pizzas, et cetera, et cetera. What should I do about that? Like, do these parents not wonder if their children are eating that night?
I think people are going to do whatever is convenient. I used to live in a court and I don't have kids and everyone else in the court had kids. So like at the beginning of the court was a kid and they'd go next door to the other kid's house and they'd say, go play in the next door neighbor's lawn. And then those 3 kids would go and they'd say, go play in that neighbor's lawn. And eventually they went through the U of the court and everyone, I'd be like, what are all these kids in my lawn and dogs and barking and stuff? And it's just like the parents kept sending them and sending them.
There you go.
Like all of a sudden I have 8 kids and 2 dogs.
And you're buying sheet pizzas to get rid of them.
So I go out there and I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they told me, well, Betsy's mom told us to go to Susie's house and Susie's house said, go to Brian's. And then everyone said, go to Elsie's yard. She don't have any kids. I'm like, oh, wait, that was a choice. So I think if you don't mind it and you keep going, but otherwise supply and demand. If you don't have the supply, they won't be there.
All right. All right.
Choke the supply. Yeah,
that's right. You can also invoice the parents.
I want to, because when I drop them off, let me tell you, these biatches are living in McMansions a lot more than my Colonial. We'll leave it at that. Venmo me. If you're within ears, Venmo me, biatches.
Your accent got so heavy on that. It's great.
Elsie, you're fantastic. A font of knowledge, darling. Thank you.
You are. Well, we should all do as Elsie does. So anyway, thank you, Elsie, for What Would Elsie Do? We're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we'll be right back with our improv game.
It's the kind of itch that you just can't scratch. But there's always room for a good ointment. This is Funny People Talking.
Yeah, with Venmo now, you could invoice the other parents.
I am so tempted.
I know. Just show up.
I did too.
You could also tell the parents that being a Kool-Aid house I just tell them, I just want you to think Jim Jones. That's all I just want to say. Just from a Kool-Aid house, just Jim Jones.
Yeah, because the younger generation today will say, "Oh, he drank the Kool-Aid." They don't know that that's a really bad thing. That's not like meaning you're on board. That means you went too far up the person's butt.
No,
that's right.
I think people know that it means that, like, if you drank the Kool-Aid, it means that you bought into something like that was
brainwashed.
Yeah, exactly. You bought into the wrong thing. You got tricked.
I guarantee you, a 19-year-old.
Yeah, they're thinking it means you bought in good. Like, I'm on board, man. I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm there. Yeah.
Oh well, I mean,
they don't know what the reference is.
People do say that unironically, right? Like, where it's like, I tell my team, I'm like, are you guys in? And if they say like, yeah, we've drank the Kool-Aid, like, it means, they're saying like
it's positive.
It's not necessarily positive. It's more like, look, we're pot committed. Like,
okay,
we're in. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
so it's it's a pot committed thing, I think.
But remember when being a diva was a bad thing, and then it became a good thing.
That's right.
That is nobody better call me a diva. That's still a bad thing.
But diva's was always bad. Now, like, she's such a diva, and they're like, "Ooh, I wish I could be a diva."
That's right, exactly.
So it's got that thing where it flipped. Also,
it's probably VH1's Born to Diva. Turn that around.
Colin, you keep bringing up these references. Are you like 47 and you just look really good for your age? Like, he's quoting 30, Seinfeld. Yeah. He knew like old references I was making. This is awesome.
Well, my girlfriend's actually, so I'm 30, she's 26, and she's never seen much of Seinfeld. And so we just started watching it from, not the beginning, but like probably from season 3 or 4. And she's dying. And so I've got all these, I've watched it 1,000 times when I was a kid. The biggest comedy influences on me when I was a kid were Seinfeld, SpongeBob, and then the Dan Le Batard show on ESPN radio. And those are like my 3 biggest comedy influences.
Wow.
And there's a few others.
That's a nice range.
Yeah, big range, right? Because like, you have like the Seinfeld, like dry, kind of like satirical humor. And then you have like the everyday stuff. And then SpongeBob is like, there were a lot of like little bits and jokes in SpongeBob. There were like little like 20-second bits, 30-second bits that like kept growing every episode, which I loved. And I still rewatch it as an adult, and it's great. And then, Dan Le Batard show is ESPN's #1 podcast, but they don't talk about sports at all, barely at all. It's kind of like the Seinfeld of sports radio, where they'll talk about movies and they'll talk about pop culture and race relations and other things. And they try to turn sports from a cathedral into more of a circus, and which is the way sports should be. Sports is fun. It's, sport.
Yeah.
And ESPN hates it because their whole brand is built on like top 10 and like the ESPYs and like this but the thing is, they're the most popular radio show on ESPN, so they have to get dealt with. So it's actually kind of interesting dynamic with them. But I've been listening to them since I was 14 years old.
I have learned more on this podcast today. I mean, this has been awesome.
Exactly. The more you know. Okay, exactly.
Rainbow.
All right, everybody. It is time for our improv game.
And now, an improvisational comedy game.
So, Colin, I'm going to give you a choice here of what improv game we're going to play.
Right.
I'm going to just tell you the names. This isn't to like trap you, but you don't know what these games are. I'm going to tell you the names, and you can choose which one you want to play without knowing anything about them.
Okay.
The first one is Mish Mosh Mix. And the second one is called If I Were in Charge of the World. So you can choose which of those 2 you want to play, and we will play that one.
Well, sometimes I wish I was in charge of the world, so I'll take that second one.
Okay, awesome. So the way we play this game is you're given an everyday problem, a little bit like we did with what would Elsie do, but maybe more extreme than that. For example, it might be like, I don't like that my gum doesn't last long. It always eventually disintegrates. Or I hate when I'm walking in New York City and tourists don't know to stay to the left and everyone else can walk on the right, or whatever it is, right? People not wearing masks on the subway, or whatever is important in your world. So you come up with an everyday problem that's given to you to solve. And if you had unlimited power, unlimited wealth, you could channel any resource in the world and have the freedom without concern for legalities, what would you do to solve that situation in the most creative way possible? And here's the catch, Colin. When you start out saying what you're going to solve, you have to actually announce it in this manner. It's a rule of the game. And that is to say, if I was in charge of the world, I would solve the problem of XXX this way.
Okay.
Whatever the problem is. So that's the key, is to announce as if you are standing atop a mountain to your entire kingdom of the world.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
You up for that? All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, let's have Elsie go first. And Dresden, why don't you give Elsie an everyday problem that she could solve that just bugs the crap out of you? It could be anything.
Elsie, the thing I would like you to solve is people all trying to do stupid TikTok dances and make TikToks doing the same dance as everybody else.
To solve TikTok.
Which is all it.
If I were in charge of the world, I would hire a developer to create a product that let me jam the signals of TikTok. And it would monitor if there was any, it would have a motion detector. And if signature dances were being performed on the TikTok, it would jam the signals. And if the offense were made from the same account 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out, you're shut down. And it would also have a mechanism built in, which would detect if you were trying to, be fraudulent by, using a different email or a different IP address. It would have cornea recognition, so it could see the person who's doing the dancing and the logging in.
Does Elsie work in cybersecurity by day?
She should. She should.
So, and so if they try to do that, the second offense after being shut down and trying to, regain it with fraud is there's a mechanism in the phone that shoots lasers through your phone and blinds you.
And when would you do? How would you do that there, Elsie?
The mechanism is it reads your cornea.
I heard that.
So the mechanism's built in by the developer that the lasers shoot through your phone and blind you.
And
so that way they can't see to log on, and they can't do the dances, and they don't know if the phone is pointed properly.
Elsie, can you live with me for a little while? Because then the pizzas will get paid for by Venmo. I won't have to watch the TikTok dances. Can I just rent you for a week to just hang out with the teenagers?
Well, that's only if I had a lot of money. I can't do this in real life. But if I were in charge,
beautiful, very done, nicely done, Elsie.
A little scary, but brilliant.
Okay, I'll go next. Colin, you want to give me an everyday problem?
Yeah, I'll give you an everyday problem.
Bugs the crap out of you?
Something that bugs the crap out of me. I can't stand it when I'm gonna give you like a real first world problem here, like something just
when you get objectified by a cougar.
That's
they
fine.
pour the wine too high in my glass.
That's fine. Oh, I was gonna actually something similar to that, Mark. I was gonna say I can't stand it when I go to a restaurant and it's a breakfast restaurant specifically, and I order the pancakes, and they bring me butter to put on the pancakes, and the butter is ice cold. I'm talking rock solid, ice cold butter, and try to get the knife and you cut it, and you try to spread it on the pancakes, and it just rips the pancake up, and there's no spread of the butter whatsoever. And you just kind of have to sit there until either the butter warms up enough to spread, and then the pancake cools down while you do that, and or you got to eat your hot pancakes without butter.
Wow.
All right, thank you.
Crazy.
So, if I were in charge of the world, I would solve the problem of ice cold butter on pancakes, which is a plague upon most of our world.
Plague upon your diner.
I would provide through a significant expense and design a beautifully, sustainably made combination heater and ejector that every citizen would be armed with. And when they encounter this problem, what would happen is they would be able to pull it out of their purse or wallet or briefcase or whatever. It'd be very small and nimble. And they would take the ice cold butter pad, insert it into a special slot, press the button. It would instantly superheat the butter. And then when you press the release mechanism and aim it properly, it would shoot this molten butter towards whatever server put it on your plate. Okay, as an objection, and there actually is an upgraded model. It's the Butter Shooter 2.0 that I would design that would have a special laser sight. Here we go with lasers again. That would actually, instead of aiming it at the server, it would be aimed at the refrigerator where the butter is stored, to instantly superheat it and melt all of it so it can't affect anybody else.
Good.
So that's what I would do if I were in charge of the world.
Was it ever
That's good. It's a
aimed?
very good solution.
But was it ever aimed at
Thank
the
you.
pancakes?
No, he went straight.
No, I
for
want to
the-
eat the
But you're
pancakes.
just torturing
So-
everyone out.
It's
No, I'm figuring I'm going to change behavior by,
Changing behavior.
deterrent.
discipline.
It's like why do they?
It's a deterrent,
Why do they give speeding
Okay,
tickets?
I
It's a
thought we just
deterrent.
wanted to eat some
Exactly.
damn
Yeah.
pancakes. I didn't know we were trying to change
He's
behavior.
going after he instead of treating the symptom, he's going after the root cause, which is the restaurant itself.
I love it.
I think after we make contact with like 7 or 8 servers around the country, the behavior will change quickly.
I'm telling you, when you get those pancakes and you grab the butter and it's cold to the touch, don't you just go? You just like
It's not fair.
you just know it's not going to spread.
I like contrast, like salty with sweet together is nice. Ice cold butter with hot pancakes, I don't like it. So very, very nice. Okay, so Colin, if you're up for it, why don't you go next? And Elsie, I'd love you to give Colin a problem.
I can't stand it when you're on the escalator and people are not paying attention and it's crammed full of people and you get to the end of it and it's like human body collision time or when they step off and just stop.
Okay.
Either way.
So, if I were in charge of the world, I would make it mandatory that every escalator. I actually thought about this problem before. This problem drives me absolutely crazy. You have a long flight. You come home from DIA, like you're waiting to get to the baggage claim, and not only are people standing on the left, but they're standing on the right, and you have now 2 people per escalator step. And it's like I grew up in a world where it was stand right, walk left, and I don't know what happened to that rule, but it is completely gone by the wayside. And it is the most inefficient thing. And they don't do it in other countries. They do it in other countries. They still abide by that rule. The United States is complete. So every escalator needs to be retrofitted if it exists. And every new escalator they build needs to have this as well. A pressure sensor gauge on the left side of the elevator stair, where if you stand on that for longer than 3 seconds without moving to the next step, and the weight sensor would know if you were there for longer than 3 seconds without a weight change, it actually opens up and you drop down into a cavern below the escalator with you and every other person that has committed that sin, and then eventually they would be wiped out from this society, and we would have no more people that don't follow the rules that we put in place as a society. And that's what I would do if I were in charge of the world for a day or however long it takes.
So you've stood behind these people and you've evil-eyed them.
Fuming.
And in your mind, you have opened the floor below them.
I would just collapse the escalator if it was feasible. It drives me when I'm and the worst is when you're in a rush. When you're in a rush and you need to go, and then you just can't, because you can't. It's enough to ask one, and it's normal when the escalator's packed and you have 2 per stair. You see it and you're just like, there's nothing I can do. But there's something special about when most people are on the right side. and it's like 2 or 3 people perfectly staggered on the left side, blocking any progress, where you're not going to have to ask one person to move, but 3 people to move on the way up, and you calculate to yourself in your head, and you go, you know what? It's just not worth it. And they have the right side of it open that they can just step to, but they insist on standing on the left.
And am I the only? Sorry.
Or when you ask them, when you say "excuse me," and they look at you, and then they stand more firm.
They look at you like you're the asshole, and
Right.
it's like, no, your change is to stand here instead of standing here. My change is to go somewhere slower or miss the train or miss the thing that I'm trying to get to. And then, of course, people like that, they'll always say, well, if you're running late, you just leave earlier. I was like, oh, just leave earlier. Okay, I'll just do that.
I love your word choice. Like, there's something special about
something special. There's something that really gets me about the rogue person on the left side when most people are abiding by the rule. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Dresden, one more here. Dresden, your problem is, oh my God, how much time we got? No, I'm kidding. Your problem, Dresden's actually awesome. Dresden, the problem I would like to suggest to you is people who, it really actually drives me crazy when I see someone that's maybe 10 or 12 feet or yards from a trash can and then discards waste like a soda can on the ground. When
who does
there's
that?
Literally one it's seriously, it's like, it's one thing if there's nothing around, there's nothing in sight, and you're like, I'm just a jerk, I can't carry it with me. It's too much work to carry this another 12 feet and put it in there. I don't care about anyone. So I would love to know how you would solve this problem once and for all and make us all much happier.
If I were king, queen, goddess of the world, I would, one, practically, from a practical sense, I would make sure that every city and town has a bottle bill. Because in New York, we have them, and there are people who take the bottles and they cash them in, and therefore there's no litter. I'm in Toronto, and I see garbage pails overflowing with soda cans and water bottles. So that's one way to solve it. But that's not funny. So let me try to be funny. So if someone goes to throw something on the ground, it not only will bounce back and hit them, because I'll put a sheen all over the sidewalk that will force litter to bounce. It will stick to them in the most embarrassing ways. So if they're eating a fudgicle, and the fudgicle goes on the ground, the fudgicle wrapper will go right on their backside. So then that person will be, ha ha ha, you pooped your pants forever. Like there'll be non-discriminating ways that trash that hits the ground will attach itself to you. You throw a milk carton on the ground, now it looks like you're lactating out of your boobs, right? So it'll take, it's a lot of science, but I got a plan. If I were king of the world.
Yay, Dresden. Thank you very much. All right. That was great, everybody. Thank you for participating with gusto. And nice gusto. So thank you, Colin, for the proper choice of improv game. We shall return forthwith right after this.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Funny People Talking and Elsie at Elsie the Producer. And please, for the love of all that is holy, subscribe to the show and leave us a damn review and a really, really good rating on iTunes. Pretty please? Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And of course, we are here with Colin, Colin McIntosh, the founder of Sheets and Giggles, the greatest name ever in the history of the company.
Thank you.
True facts.
All right. So let's start out here. We'll unpack in a minute what the company is and the things you do, because I think it really must be talked about in all seriousness. But I'd like to ask you this. Other than the fact that you have a comic boning you already, but what made you decide that this company needed to have a humorous tone to it in its messaging and its name? What was that a very, very rational decision that said, here's an interesting marketing ploy to set it up in this way? Or was it organic or what?
It was two things. It partially stemmed from the fact that my prior company was a very serious company. We had a wearable technology that we developed that would help to fight sexual assault and violence, and so we were.
Oh wow!
It was really cool, and we had shipped 60,000 units, and we were in Target and Brookstone and a bunch of other places, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out for a number of different reasons, and I got laid off, and along with all my friends, at 1 p.m. on a Monday. It was about 3 years ago. And that company that's ironic looking back in hindsight, they never let me touch the copy. They never let me write copy. They never let me because there was somebody on the team who, was in charge of the copy, and they were always like, oh, Colin, like, it's a serious thing. Like, you can't write serious copy. First of all, it's fucking simple to write serious copy. But second off, like, they were just very protective of their own job and didn't want anybody else to do it. So I was itching to, like, I love copywriting. I used to be an SAT tutor. I took Shakespeare at 311 when I was a freshman. Like, I love writing. I love writing essays, and I love writing long form copy. And so I was just itching to do more writing, and then I really want to do something funny and something that really, because that's when I really shine. Like, I can't really shine when I'm not writing funny copy. I can write good persuasive writing, but that's the thing. And the second thing is, when I looked at this betting space, I basically was just bored to tears with the other people that were in the space. So like I said earlier, I kind of alluded to it earlier, every other company in the space has the same thing. It's, the white 23-year-old model in bed with exposed brick in New York City, like in a studio apartment that is way above whatever amount of disposable income that person actually would have, with like a fern on the side of the bed.
A pug? We need a pug?
Yeah. Exactly. And like, it's always like perfectly manicured makeup, like in bed, which is not how women go to bed, like, with their makeup on. And like, it was so boring to me to like look at that, and it's always the white sheets on the white walls, and like the coffee and the bed and breakfast and the plants, and it just drove me crazy, because it felt like all these brands are trying to be aspirational to young women in like a very condescending way, and in a lot of ways where it's like, look at how you want your life to be. Like, don't you want to live in a big city with these things, like, and be a character on Friends, and like, this, I don't know, that type of aspirational brand imagery always made me very bored, and it made me very like frustrated, because it just felt so trite and like the same as everything else. So one of the things I said was, when I started the company, is we will never do just pictures of sheets on a white space on the background. So like, when you go on our website, we have our colors, we have beautiful colors, very bold colors, red and blue and green and purple. And I love how bold our colors are. But, we advertise them with people in bed, and people in bed with animals and with food, and making faces that people would make in bed, not like weird smiles off into the distance, but like actual, like hanging out with their dog or hanging out with their friends. And I always just wanted to do something different, something that was very visually striking, like a lightning rod. And I think we've done that, and that's been really fun for me to like put that. And I funnel everything strategically through like what it will do to our marketing, our click through, our conversion. And that was definitely something that I really wanted to test to see, will people respond to like a funny betting brand in a very traditionally serious space, like a very boring space. And people have very, very strongly. And I like that, because it means there's a lot of people out there that like speak the same language that I do.
Awesome.
Amazing. Can we talk a little bit more about what your company is? And one of the things that I would love for you to make sure you spend time on, which I assume you will anyway, is you don't just sell stuff, you're doing stuff with your company. Can you fill us in on first of all, what you offer, what the product actually is and why it's special, and then what you do with a pretty good amount of your revenue?
Yeah. So we first and foremost, we sell eucalyptus lyocell bed sheets. So our sheets are made out of eucalyptus trees. They're not made from cotton or polyester. And they use way less water and energy than cotton, no insecticides or no pesticides. Cotton by itself uses an estimated 16 to 24% of the world's insecticides by itself as a crop. And then obviously with the polyester, microfiber, you're talking about a petroleum-based synthetic, number one source of microplastics in our water. So stop buying polyester, stop buying, you can do recycled poly, but still normal poly by itself is no good. And so our sheets are sustainable. They're actually naturally softer than cotton. The eucalyptus lyocell has a lower coefficient of friction. So for people with skin conditions, people with fibromyalgia or contact dermatitis or neuropathy, who tell us are the only things they can sleep on at night, which I have a herniated C4, C5. You can see me moving around a little bit. That causes right arm numbness and weakness. And, I wake up in the middle of the night and and my REM cycles get interrupted. And so for me, to have people tell me that our sheets are the only thing they can sleep through the night on, they're starting to hit those REM cycles at 4 hours, 6 hours, and 7.5 hours, and then their body gets to heal and grow. That's a really important thing for me to hear, just me personally. And the sheets are also more moisture wicking and more breathable. So if you're a night sweater, they're an absolute dream. So they keep you dry and temperature regulated throughout the night.
Which is something you should definitely cater to the cougar audience. Going through menopause. Yeah. I'm serious, but as you were,
we rank pretty highly for sheets for menopause, best sheets for hot flashes.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have neck pain, but I get really hot too at night. Like I radiate heat from my neck, and so it's great for me too. And then in terms of our philanthropy, I was inspired when I was a kid. I was like 22 or 21. And I went to this company in Wisconsin. It's called Epic, and they've gotten some hot water recently in the news for how they've done their own COVID remote work, which is, there's no easy answers to any of this stuff. Their policy was, and their motto was, do good, have fun, make money. And I really like that. I really like the three: do good, have fun, make money, kind of in that order. And so for us, we don't follow that exactly, but it's kind of my guiding thing in life, where I think that all these things are achievable and none are mutually exclusive. And so we have a lot of fun with the company, but at the same time we do a lot of good, and we've been successful too. So we make a little bit of money. But what we were able to do this year is two core things. We actually donated $40,000 to COVID-19 relief in the state of Colorado, which was no small thing. 40 grand is a lot of money for a small business, and it was 20% of our sales for about a month period. We made that pledge early on in the pandemic when we didn't know how long this was going to go on for. We just knew that there were going to be a lot of people suffering from this, losing family members, losing lives, losing businesses. And so that was really wonderful. That was through the Colorado COVID-19 Relief Fund. And then we also got a phone call from the Downtown Denver Partnership in March, and they said the city of Denver is asking around for twin and twin XL bed sheets for these respite motels that they were building at homeless shelters to isolate symptomatic individuals from the general population. And so they asked us, do you have, Sheets and Giggles keeps coming up. We keep hearing your name. Like, do you have bed sheets on hand? And so we donated every twin and twin XL sheet set that we had on hand to Denver area homeless shelters, hundreds of them, to isolate these symptomatic individuals from the general population, hopefully slow the spread in Denver. And I think it's been very successful. I think they had a high of 300 people sleeping in those respite motels at one point this summer. Wow. And, those are all symptomatic individuals that needed places to sleep that were isolated. And so, it's been a really great year for us philanthropy wise. We've also planted tens of thousands of trees. We plant a tree for every single order that we receive. And that's, in any normal year, that would be like a big thing that we would tout. But now this year, it seems like with the wildfires raging and everything, like reforestation is so important, but there's so much other stuff going on that it's almost like an afterthought. Like, we plant a tree for every order. How many? Oh, tens of thousands. Oh shit. Like, oh shit. And so we do a lot of stuff, and I'm very proud of the company that we built. We also pledge 1% of our equity, time, products, and profit to local Colorado charities. And that's been really great for us as a pledge 1% company. And what else did we do? We did a couple other things here and there, a couple of donations. Oh, we last year on Black Friday, we donated 20% of our sales to the World Wildlife Foundation to rescue koalas. Yeah. That was great. Big opportunity for us to give back to, we don't harvest any eucalyptus trees from natural forests or from Australia, but, we still want to help out where we can. And then this year, we're actually doing something really cool on Black Friday where you get 15% off, but also at checkout, you can select a charity that you contribute 15% of your order to that charity. So it's like a 15 and 15 thing, and it's really cool. And then we'll hopefully donate a ton of money. So
wow,
that is
cheers.
I think
Cheers,
that all deserves
bravo.
an absolute
Thanks.
round of applause.
Thank you.
You work
Really, Colin,
really
so
hard
admirable
to do that. So we admire.
Yeah,
we
well,
admire
my whole
you.
team does. My whole team. They're tomorrow is our biggest sale of the year, ahead of Black Friday, and everybody's working the midnight oil right now, and I'm really proud of my team. There is just people hire people like themselves, and so I've hired people that are like fast talking, hardworking, like pretty funny people.
Beards.
And one other guy on the team has a beard. Mike has a mustache. Carl is clean shaven, and Jake is clean shaven, and the rest are women. So Emily, Melissa, and Sarah also don't have beards. So yeah, no.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good. Well done saying that. That says good covering your butt there. I have one remaining question. I probably have 1,000 questions, Colin, but just in the interest of respecting Midnight Oil here, let's shift gears from your business to you as an actual comedian outside of your business. I guess you are, in a way, a comedian in your business.
Mostly,
and it's part of what you do.
Yeah.
But as a comedian outside of your business, what drives the material that you end up actually writing? Where does it get sourced from? Because, there's some people that are observational humorists, like Seinfeld. There's people that talk about their own particular life. And there's other people that just like to say goofy stuff. There's people who like to talk to the audience. Where does your humor source from, and how does that connect to the rest of your world?
So I'm also a big observationalist. When I am with my friends, I'll say things like just extemporaneously, right? Just having a good time, and I'll just tend to bust up a room occasionally. Like I'll get a big rise out of everybody, and when I do that, I'll write it down, and I'll see if I can workshop it into something that's like a bit. And so I really like observational humor. Seinfeld's always been the golden standard of that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like things that build on themselves too. I like things that go from start you at A, and then by the time you're at E, you don't even realize that you're still talking about A. And Dave Chappelle is actually really, really big influence with that. I don't know anybody else who can start a story in one location and then end it in such a different location while still telling the same story. And I really, really like that. So those are kind of how I approach it. And it's also a little bit of Bill Burr, things that frustrate me. Things that I think are stupid, things I think are, that are just drive me crazy. So.
Well, it kind of goes back to the Seinfeld. What's the deal with blah, blah?
Yeah, exactly.
With airplanes.
Yeah. I'm going to go down to her job and heckle her. Yeah.
Have you had to deal with hecklers when you're doing stand-up?
Not really. No, not really. I've had some people who have said that made me a little uncomfortable. But
hey, G.I. Joe, get off the stage.
I mean, it's only because
sorry.
It depends on. I've never gotten heckled badly or anything. I usually do. I think I'm probably the only first-time comedian who ever got on stage, and after I got off stage, went to my girlfriend. And I was like, I thought that went really well. I'm probably the only, I'm a confident person when I tell a story or when I tell a joke, and so I got off stage and I was like, I think I nailed it. I also love pitching. I won a pitch contest in Denver this week. I won first place at Denver Startup Week 2018 when I was just starting out. I love pitching. You put me in front of a crowd with a microphone and a captive audience, and I really light up. And so that's always been a special talent of mine. And stand-up comedy is just pitching. All you're doing is pitching. You're pitching jokes,
That's a great way to look at it. I love that. You're selling the comedy, right? You're people bought, the ticket to laugh, and you have to deliver, right? And at Sheets and Giggles, I've gotten bigger laughs pitching Sheets and Giggles than any stand-up comedy that I've done. When I'm on stage and I say, I say I have a slide and it's 3 of my main competitors, and I say these are 3 of my main competitors, but I would forgive you
if you thought they were the same company. I mean, the white sheets, the white walls, the French press coffee placed ever so precariously on the white comforter. And I'm like, this is what they do this because they think that this is what appeals to young women. And the thing about young women is they make up 70% of our customer base. So we actually appeal to them too, just a little differently. And then you click the next slide, and the punchline is the next slide is the three men in the bed picture with the face. And like, I mean, the crowd, the first time I ever did that pitch, it was like in front of 1,000 people, and they just lost their minds whistling. And it was great. And like, that type of energy is what I really, really, really feed off.
So, Colin, a very natural question at this point is, how in the world do people find Sheets and Giggles and get to look at all this stuff and get connected with what you're doing? Support these great causes.
They can Google Sheets and Giggles, or they can go to sheetsgiggles.com, which is just, brand name, but no and in the URL. So sheetsgiggles.com. And then we are also at Sheets Giggles everywhere. And we're on Amazon as well. So you can go to amazon.com/sheets, actually. So amazon.com/sheets. That is our Amazon URL. That's pretty good. I know.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot.
And then, other than that, I'm pretty easy to find. LinkedIn, Twitter, usual stuff. Colin McIntosh, Sheets and Giggles.
All right. Well, Colin McIntosh, I genuinely, truly wish we had like a solid 48 more minutes that we could do this, because it was just a lot of fun.
Thanks,
and so nice to see you again. That is it for this episode of Funny People Talking. I'm very sad to say, but we covered a lot of ground. I think we got a lot of great advice. We had a little celebrity moment. We talked comedy. We figured out what we would do if we were in charge of the world. And then we talked about bed sheets and giving. And I love all of that.
And Cougar fantasies with Dresden.
I think that goes without saying, sir. Anyway, thank you again, Colin. It was really great. And thank everybody for listening. We really appreciate it. We will see you next week, I promise, for another wonderful, wonderful episode of Funny People Talking. Boy, that's a bar I just set. We better deliver. Until then, for our producer, Elsie.
Thanks.
And our co-host, Dresden.
I am Spartacus.
Yes, you are. I'm Mark Rako. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time. And by the way, please stay funny.
That's it? That's the end of the show? Boy, oh boy, what a crock. This was Funny People Talking. No portion of the content may be reproduced or published without the strict written permission of the producers. Connect with our show at Funny People Talking or at our website, funnypeopletalking.com. I'm your announcer, Peter Coleman. Thanks for listening.
This is Mouth Media Network, the business of being heard.